On today's show, Doe Doe does it again, sets a new career high. How has his development changed the Dallas Mavericks over the last couple of years? Also, what adjustments did Jason Kidd make in the second half of this Cleveland Cavaliers game for the Mavs to get the win? We'll talk about all that and more, and clinching a playoff spot. On today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Subscribe. If you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, do it so we can get to 12,000. That's our goal. Joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the Cavs crooner, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I'll just right off the top. The Lakers suck.
You're a day late.
Oh,
A day late. We buried them yesterday.
oh my gosh. I'm sorry for the people who tweeted and was like, bummed that I couldn't be on this pod for the Lakers game. Some things are more important than basketball, so I had to do something with that. But when the game ended, my heart was just I felt for the Lakers. I just felt so bad for LeBron,
I know you do. And Anthony Davis sitting there with his hood up.
It was incredible. Westbrook was great. The Westbrook show is incredible to watch, and it's always
Let me tell you, it was not actually. It was not even like fun to watch yesterday. But tonight,
I love every bit of it. But tonight was a more at least competitive basketball game.
it was for a little while there, for at least one half. The second half, the Mavs took over. The Mavs get a win 120 to 112. Dorian Finney-Smith gets his career high. Let's go, Dorian. Career high 28 points, career high 6 made threes. He shot 12 of them, made 6 of them. Is that a good percentage?
It's pretty good. It's probably not as good as he is at offensive rebounding, but I mean, this has been Locked On Dorian for a while.
Yeah.
And we have been so big Dorian fans. He signs it, we have the trade that happens at the trade deadline. And we knew going into the deadline, it's like, hey, we have Dorian and Jalen Brunson. And there was as far as up for these extensions. And like you read all the rumors, all the stuff, and it's like, hey, teams are calling about Dorian and Brunson. Teams want them. It's like, all right, yeah, there's a reason why they want these guys. Dallas obviously holds on to both of them through the deadline. They make the Porzingis Dinwiddie trade. And then right after it, they signed Dorian to the extension. And we're like, whoa, it's kind of surprising because that's the most they could really give him. They give him the trade kicker and player option. I laugh because that's perfectly fine. It's okay. I have zero criticism for Dorian Finney-Smith's contract.
Yeah,
I think it's great. In fact, the day it happened, I sent out a tweet and I was like, hey, we could be looking at this Dorian Finney-Smith deal of saying this could be one of the best bargains in the league because there's a world that he plays so well through the end of the season and into the playoffs. He's one of the reasons that they win a playoff series or series. And then it's like, oh, okay, he could have gotten more money. Because I honestly think if he keeps playing like this and they go into the playoffs and they beat Utah and he puts the clamps on Donovan Mitchell, and then let's just say they play like Phoenix or something and he plays Booker pretty well. Like he's getting $18-19 million a year in the offseason. Like that's
just almost on hype alone.
Yeah. And for the Mavericks to lock him up when they did, a guy who wants to be here, a guy who loves playing next to Luka, a guy that Luka loves playing next. I mean, what did Luka say post game?
Wants to play I want to play with this guy my entire career.
I mean, you can't get a better Maverick right now. He's one of my favorite Mavericks of all time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Dirk, and then it's probably Dorian. Honestly, it's the D's. Dorian. I mean, he's just been his development has changed what the Mavericks can be. Like you said, I mean, when you look at this game specifically, third quarter, who goes off? Right, the Mavs hits 5 of their 10 threes, and you're like, okay, feeling good about that. Luka hit 2 of them. Dorian hit the other 3. him becoming a really, really good 3-point shooter has just fundamentally changed what this team can do. Since, in this Mavericks run, since January 1st, he's shooting just about 40% from three. Huge. And he's guarding the best player on any other, any given team on any night, whether that's a big at times, whether that's a guard at times, a wing, obviously.
Steph Curry up to, the Kawhi Leonards of the world. Like, he can guard 1 through 4.
The KDs, from them to there. It's been wild to watch his development. But I think there's some smaller things that he's added to his game that actually have made him more valuable. Like Jason Kidd mentioned tonight that, we've talked about expanding Dorian's game, not just being a 3-and-D guy. Being able to put the ball on the floor, being able to dribble a little bit, being able to finish around the rim. Like, how many times have we seen him finish around the rim, which is like a long outstretched arm, and he finishes at the rim because he attacked a closeout or something like that. Like, that's something that he's added over the last couple of years of his game. And honestly, I think Shamgod should probably get some credit for this. He's the Mavs guru that works with them, with everybody on ball handling. We've seen Shamgod work with Dorian on some things, and that's been added to his game, and that's been massive. It's been massive to have somebody else at least that can, attack a closeout and not just be, a guy that can only shoot threes and that's it, right? He's added a little bit to his game every single year. He's not gonna, run a pick and roll or anything like that. They've done it a couple of times. He's not gonna do post ups like they tried to do at the beginning of the season against the Hawks. He's not gonna do those kind of things, but he's adding just a little bit more to his game, and it's added so much to this team.
Well, it's the 3-and-D guy that every team wants. And it's like, all right, well, some teams find the defensive guy, but they suck at threes. Or then you have the 3-point specialist, and you're like, all right, well, this guy's Ryan Brokoff. He can't play defense. And here's Dorian. And we used to say for so long, we wish we could kind of combine or merge Dorian with Brokoff or Dorian with another guy on the team to where he get his defense. And now that his shot has come along, and bam, here we are. And you just, like you said tonight, 28 points. He said Luka after the game, he's like, Luka tried to get me to 30 in this game. And he's one of, he means so much to this team. I think we said this not too long ago. If we're looking at role players who went down, who would go down, for injury alongside Luka, he might be the number one guy that can't go down. But just because
it would be the biggest loss for the Mavs.
Yeah, if Brunson went down, it's like, all right, well, we have Dinwiddie, and vice versa a little bit, even though missing Dinwiddie tonight really hurt him in the first half.
Yep.
But in a sense, it's like, all right, if Dorian went down, well, now we have Reggie. Reggie just doesn't have the full size that Dorian brings, the full scope, the
Josh
full
Green
range.
either.
Yeah, the full range of being able to guard a 4 down to a 1. And I think he is so dang valuable to this team. And you can't find guys like this who not only the story of it is incredible from undrafted to where he's at, but also a guy who just loves being here and wants to be here. And literally every single person who knows him loves this guy.
And the things that we talked about earlier this month about him being the heart and soul of this team, being the guy that people want to rally behind, the guy that, says something in the locker room and everybody's like, oh, I got to listen because Dorian Finney-Smith is saying this. He's the guy that's trying harder than anybody out there besides maybe Dwight Powell. But he's out there, and he's the guy that will scream and yell and will get everybody pumped up on the court. And that's something that's invaluable to this team as well. So it's the intangibles, it's the 3-and-D, it's the little stuff that's added to his game. He's just become invaluable to this Mavs team.
And I want to take a moment. We're gathered here today to honor the life, the legacy, and the human being of Moses Brown. It was good to have him in Dallas. It was nice to see his time in Cleveland. Papa Doe's will miss him. But he lived a good life in Moses Brown.
We'll have more after the break. Dorian absolutely unloaded on Moses Brown, who was looking the other. How many times did guys get dunked on and put on a poster where they're looking the wrong way?
I felt bad. I even hated doing that little bit right there because Moses has been on this podcast. We talked to him about Papa Doe's and everything, and he seems such a fun dude.
Yeah.
But that sequence of getting yammed on and then coming down the court afterwards, and Luka just makes him look silly with the fake pass around him, and he turns around like looking around, like, oh, what's going on? And Luka scores. Like it might be a little downgrade from Jared Allen to Moses.
Just a slight one. Coming up, let's talk about the second half adjustments that Jason Kidd made and why they were so important and how this team ended up locking up in the second half. Can they turn on a switch with defense? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, NBA Top Shot, Isaac Harris. We've been going through my top shots that I have right now. Top Shot is the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Connect with the passionate community of NBA fans across the globe. Build your collection with your favorite moments from NBA history. I got this nice little moment.
If you tell me about this Dennis Smith Jr. one more time, I'm going to smack you.
I know. People were like, he's talked about the Dennis Smith Jr. one 3 times. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys listening every single day. Not everybody does. I got a Bryn Forbes moment. Now, before you just roll your eyes, Bryn Forbes throws this dribble move. He crosses and crosses over. And then Ish Wainwright on the Suns just completely eats it right in front of him. And then Bryn Forbes gets in the lane and hits a floater. It's a nice little moment. And it's mine. And I get to own it. I can trade it. I can sell it. I can do all kinds of stuff with NBA Top Shot. They have fantasy stuff that you can play. And if you collect enough moments from certain teams, they've done things where they've flown out a couple of fans to Game 5 of the NBA Finals because they had a bunch of Phoenix Suns moments in their collection. So go check it out. Head over to lockedon.nbatopshot.com to start building your collection today. Again, that's lockedon.nbatopshot.com to start building your collection. NBA Top Shot. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen for your next listen. Check out the Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can even hear us on that. All right, Isaac. The Mavericks made some adjustments. First half was going okay for them. I mean, you know, they were down 61-67 to a team with the Cavs that didn't have Jared Allen, didn't have Evan Mobley. They don't have Colin Sexton still. It's just a team that just needs. They've been really going downhill lately. Injuries have just been ramping up for them. No Rondo.
Hated that for them.
No Rondo for them. LeVert has been up and down. You know, Garland's been their one consistent thing, and then they've had these role players, guys in and out. But the Mavs then make a change. They allow 37 points in the second quarter. And they make a change and they only allow 22 points in the third and 23 points in the fourth quarter. What do you think Jason Kidd changed at halftime?
Well, you alluded to it going into the break of, do they have this switch? And this is what good teams. Do you remember that Golden State team back? I want to say a few, but it's probably a handful of years at this point, to where the third quarter, like everybody was expecting the third quarter.
Yeah, the death lineup would come out, right? They're going to put out Iguodala and Draymond in that death lineup, and they're just going to, and Sean Livingston, and they're just going to destroy everybody.
Yeah, and it's like you knew the switch was coming. You knew they could turn it on. And it's like you feel like good teams could do that. And this is where I feel the Mavericks are almost at, like, not that Golden State team, but having that ability to, if they're down at halftime, I'm not having my head down saying this game's over.
Well, we've learned that if they're down at all, they've come back from 2015. Like, this team has been the comeback kids this year.
Yeah, so like you see it from the very beginning coming out of in the third quarter. You don't want to do the cliche, they just tried harder, but in a way they did. They were more locked in. They were tighter on defense. They felt like they're on a string. I don't know what. We need an in-depth thing of halftime talks, because I don't know what happens. I don't know if this is, they all know each other now. It's like they're just looking at each other. All right, it's time. Like, let's do this. We got to step in.
After the game, Jason Kidd said, he's like, I didn't say anything fiery. Like, I didn't yell. I don't do that anymore. I'm very appreciative that he says stuff like that.
Changed man.
He said, quote, we didn't participate on defense in the first half. That's what he said after the game. It's true. They didn't. They just kind of went in there and they're like, all right, Luka has 8 assists in the first quarter. He's just going to go off. Eventually, Luka's going to score a bunch of points. And then we're just going to run away with this. After the first quarter kind of felt easy at times to them. And then the second quarter, all of a sudden, like Karis LeVert just caught fire. He had 12 points. Garland had 8 points. It seemed like nobody could stay in front of Garland, even in the second half. We'll talk about him. But the Mavs really did. They just locked in. And it just seemed like in the second half, they were like, okay, We just got to wake up. Yes, we're on the second night of a back-to-back. Yes, we were in Dallas last night, and tonight we're in Cleveland. These are both weird early games for the Mavs. Like, yes, all this stuff is kind of weird, but we just got to wake up and be the team and the defense that we have been this year and step it up. And that's honestly what they did, right? It's just everybody more alert. And that's what this defense, the defensive scheme that the Mavs run is like not super complicated. It's not all these different, like, okay, we got to do this and this and this and this and this. It's that everybody has to be paying attention. Like everyone has to be locked in. Everyone has to know the scouting report where there are certain things. And Dwight Powell talked about it after the game. He said, Callie Kaplan was asking him about what kind of adjustments did you make and what kind of things did you talk about? And he says, one of the first things he said was knowing which direction players like to go. That's just scouting report. That's just knowing, okay, this guy wants to go left, this guy wants to go right, and knowing to try and close off that side and being able to be more aware if you're on that side of the court that you can come over and trap, or you can dig real quick and just like throw a hand in there and maybe tap the ball out. Like there's just all those little things like that. And then it all adds up. Everything's more crisp. Everything's more, defense is all about just like preventing, right? It's just prevent. It's how much more can you prevent? Can you just prevent 5% more, 10% more? If you prevent a pass, if you make a pass like 5% worse, it makes the shot then that much worse. And then it makes them have to adjust. And then you can recover faster. And then the other players can recover faster because then the next pass isn't as good. Like there's just all these things that leads up to, and everybody just had to like kind of tighten up, right? Like tie your shoes tighter and go out there and just play better. And honestly, that's what they did.
I thought Luka turned it up a notch defensively, but you also look at like their team shot attempts. Like, so you look at the second quarter where they scored 37 points. They attempted 24 shots in that second quarter. You look at the third quarter, 16, because you can't just look at percentages and be like, oh, okay, they must have really defended well because they had, they shot 30% from the field in the third quarter. It wasn't really that. They shot 56% from the field. The Cavs did in the third quarter. They shot 40% from three in the third quarter. But they limited the number of shots.
Yeah, they only took 5 threes and made 2 of them.
Exactly. The Mavericks took 10 threes in the third quarter. Cavs took 5 threes. The Cavs also had 3 turnovers. So they limited the number of shots, even though they were still hitting at an efficient rate. And then they turned the ball over 3 times. And Luka was just supernova. So it was a combination of the defense, but also Luka taking it up a notch and is showing the switch that he has because he's a first team all NBAer. And the ability for him to say, all right, I'm done kind of farting around with this game here. I got this. And he put up 20 points in the third quarter. I mean, yeah, now we're like vet watchers of Luka that, oh, cool. Another 20-pointer.
There he goes. He did it again.
He's on it again. Let's do this.
It doesn't happen often in the third quarter. It's usually the first quarter, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. First quarter is normally his 12, 15, 17 points in a quarter type thing. But that run that he went on in the third quarter alone, hit a couple threes, 8 of 12 from the field, 20 points.
and let me tell you that this man did not go to the free throw line nearly as much as he should have.
Oh, if he was not setting on 15 techs,
oh, for sure.
He would have had one tonight, 100%.
Yes. It just didn't make any sense. Like I even said during the game, Brunson had that weird flop against Larry Markkinen that got called. That was obviously just not even a foul. Like even just the contact that Larry had on Brunson, I don't even think I could admit that was a foul. And the ref was standing right in front of him. And then Luka drives into the lane and gets bodied, and then all of a sudden that's not a foul. It's like, what is happening that neither these things are fouls and these things are not fouls? I was very confused by a lot of it.
Like, is Tony Brothers in this game too?
Where is Tyler Ford? Did Kane Fitzgerald show up to work tonight?
I also want to shout out. So there was a moment that Luka had. He like grabbed his knee and he like bent over and was like looking at his left leg. And it reminded me real quick, a small story from the game I went to with my family the other night. And you'll get a laugh out of this, and Mavs fans will too. And Luka did something. If you remember that Jazz game, he did something to his elbow, and he's sitting there in half court. And my wife is on, we have our 2 kids in between us. And my wife's like trying to motion. She goes, Luka. And I was like, yeah, I see him. She's like, no, his elbow. And she's like legit, like upset, thinking that he's for real hurt.
Thinking that your whole life is about to be turned upside down because Luka just got hurt.
Yeah. And I'm like looking at her. I'm like, no, he's fine. And she's like, what? Is he's just dramatic? Or I'm like, well, if you did like top five.
Well, one, yes.
If you did like top 5 players that have at least one, time a game that they're looking at a finger, arm, knee, something, and then they're like, oh, there he's back to normal. It's Luka. So
it's LeBron and then Luka probably.
AD takes it the next step and actually goes to the locker room.
No, because he actually gets hurt. he just gets hurt all the times that Luka we think is about to get hurt. AD actually does get hurt on those times.
Yeah, Luka's inherited that LeBron gene of. Yeah. All right. There's 3 rims, and I just aim for the middle one. It's just what. But hey. Y'all make fun of my team and how old they are,
and then I'll
keep
show
that same energy. All right, keep
and
it.
Then I'll show. Hey, they're out of the play-in right now. He doesn't like the play-in, and he's staying out of the play-in. He's staying true to his word. He's not going for that 10 seed because he doesn't believe in it. So he thinks it ruins the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
Coming up,
about me?
I always thought you and LeBron.
You want to do this?
I always thought you and LeBron agreed on similar things.
Guys, we argued for like 10 minutes before.
No, it was long. It was like 30 minutes before.
Like legit argued it. I think people would have really enjoyed it.
No, they would have been concerned. They're like, Mom and Dad, please don't break up.
Well, somebody already wants to fire me in the YouTube comments.
He's not here, so we can talk about him. Seven, like Stefan Sevens. He said he doesn't watch when Isaac records, and I just said, see you to your family.
No. He said, homie says my family doesn't watch. When I'm not on, are y'all circled around the couch eating cheese puffs, watching because my face isn't on the screen? What is like? I'm just glad it's a family affair. Well, all of you guys download on your phone so we can get downloads for all the freaking family, but you don't want to watch whenever I'm on. All right. Tell little Jimmy that he sucks at basketball too, your son.
So I told him goodbye to the Sevens family because I'm not ever going to fire Isaac.
No, they're back. They're back, Sevens.
Oh my gosh. Coming up, let's get into the rest of this game. And we're currently watching this Suns Warriors game, but let's play both sides of it. Let's play like we'll pretend like the Warriors lost this game and the Mavs are the 3 seed. We'll talk about what that means for the Mavs. And the Mavs clinch a playoff spot. So we owe you the Luka song. We'll talk about that and more coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. After months of playing, college basketball has determined the top teams for the Final Four, and this year's national champion is coming this week. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all the betting needs and sports info from all the latest odds, contests, player props, you name it. BetOnline remains the best spot for your latest sports developments. Go check it out on BetOnline. They have all kinds of stuff. I saw that they had odds for who's going to hit the most home runs this year. That's super fun.
Oh,
go check out that. Go check out NCAA props. There's March Madness props. Ooh, in the Final Four, highest points scored by any player in the entire Final Four, Isaac Harris. 21 and a half, over
Caleb
under.
Love.
21 and a half points, over under.
Oh, over. Yeah.
Someone will score more than 21 and a half points.
Mm-hmm. Carolina guy will.
Interesting. Where's your guy, Caleb Love? He is right now plus 2,500 to be the most outstanding player. Paolo is number 1, plus 250. If you feel like those odds are enough for you, Isaac, you put down $100 on Caleb Love and he wins most outstanding player, you win $2,500.
Dang, sign me up. I wouldn't bet on Paolo. I don't want a great value Tobias Harris.
If you feel strongly about any of that, go check it out. BetOnline. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. We didn't give enough credit to Luka, I don't think. Luka had another great game in front of a high percentage Slovenian crowd in Cleveland. He likes to show out. My guy had 8 assists in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, at halftime he had over 10 assists, I think.
Double at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave love to Dorian. Obviously, Luka deserves it. I mean, 35 points in this game. He took it over in a third. This is what great players do. This is what all NBA players do.
Can we do it again? Can we do the same segment over again? Let's just do it again. This is what great players do.
This is what they do. I also want to point out a little bit of one, shout out to Brandon Knight for being back.
Shout out to him.
Happy for him and his story and everything. But they did miss Dinwiddie, especially in the first half. I wrote down multiple times. So can Dinwiddie, I wrote down Dinwiddie, misses Dinwiddie. And it's just crazy how Brunson had 18 in this game, pretty good game, but 8 of 14 for the field. But they did miss that presence of Dinwiddie and shows his importance on the team, I think.
For sure. Yeah, they missed somebody that can slash, can get to the rim.
Yeah.
Because it only felt like Luka could because there was no, it was just Moses Brown out there as the only rim protector that they had. It was Moses Brown, and then they would take him out, and it would be like this Kevin Love weird, like Isaac Okoro was their front court. That was sort of it. They needed somebody that could just get, if anybody could just get to the rim and finish, it would have just been a blowout.
15 free throw attempts in this game. That's all they had. And
It's not,
shout out to the person also who tweeted at me asking realistically why Moses Brown couldn't get a shot on the Mavs and we could use him on the roster. I'm like, did y'all just watch him?
Did you send him to go back and watch the third quarter again? Oh man, he struggled out there. The Mavs were like, we know all your weaknesses, and we're just gonna go at them one by one by one. I really was interested to see this game with Jared Allen and Mobley, how the Mavs would have responded, but it was not to be.
Yeah, Mobley, this is his first game. Mavs struck a little luck with this, with him getting hurt the other day, and now he's out. I think for like 3 games or something. So
the Mavs have some luck. Like this next stretch here, like they're going to be missing a bunch of guys that they're going to be playing.
Shout out to Kristaps Porzingis, who put up his career or his season high tonight, 35 points, and can't wait for Friday. Who's going to be more motivated, Porzingis or Dinwiddie?
Oh, if Porzingis doesn't put up 25 shots in that game
without Kuzma and Beal,
should I just take a pie to the face on the pod?
Yeah, if he doesn't.
If Porzingis, and if there obviously no injuries or anything like that, Porzingis doesn't take 25 shots, I will take a pie to the face.
You're getting it. Yeah. Okay. How about who attempts more shots, Dinwiddie or KP?
Ooh, it's definitely KP. Definitely KP.
Yeah. Just because there's no one else.
There's no Beal. There's no Kuzma. Like they're really running on empty as far as players right now.
It's literally like Biden, Kamala, and KP suiting up there.
Some of you will get this joke, and those of you that do, yes. Yeah, they don't have Madison Cawthorn out there. I mean, he's having fun doing some other stuff. So
wait, should I know that person?
No, that's why I said there's only certain people that know that joke, and if you do, then it's funny. If you don't, then it's fine. Leave it alone. Don't Google it. Oh yeah, like KCP took also, 17 shots.
It's Kamala. I said Kamala. I think.
I know it's one of those where it's like
Kamala.
You can mess it up just by like flubbing your words a little bit.
We can't say any more, or else one side of
this is as political as we've gotten all year, and that is okay with me. It's just mentioned that politics exists.
I just mentioned the vice president, and somebody will be in there. That's not.
Oh my gosh. They did miss Dinwiddie. This is the last back-to-back the Mavericks are going to play, so he won't miss any more games because of that. I think it was fine that they sat him in this one, especially with those guys from the Cavs out. But yeah, Dinwiddie should be full go the rest of the season, which I am excited about.
Yeah, heck yeah. No more back-to-backs, like you said, and let's see what happens on Friday. We're obviously watching this Golden State game right now, Golden State Phoenix, and if Golden State loses this game to Phoenix, Dallas will wake up today as you're listening to this on Thursday as the 3 seed in the Western Conference, which is unbelievable and just further helps Luka's case for All-NBA first team.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Guys, so spoiler alert, we're going to talk a little bit more about All-NBA stuff tomorrow. And I'm ready. I'm on the borderline ready to just go full unhinged on this, that Luka should be first team All-NBA.
So let's say the Mavs we'll definitely get into all that tomorrow for sure. Let's say the Mavs do wake up and they're the 3 seed. Mm-hmm. They still play Utah.
Great.
Does it matter that it's 3-6 and not 4-5?
No, it's better.
Why is it better in the playoffs?
Because you're not playing Phoenix in the second round. If you're 4-5, you're playing Phoenix in the second round. If you're telling me that I could play Utah in the first round, which once again, not guaranteed win, I'm more comfortable with that.
Did you listen to what SJ was on?
She wants the Mormons.
Bring me the Mormons. We need a drop. I need a drop of her saying that.
She cracked me up.
Bring me the Mormons.
Mormons. But like you're telling me that your options, if you wanted to go ahead and look around to the second round, that if you beat Utah, then you're playing Minnesota or Memphis or the Clippers or Memphis.
Honestly, the Clippers. What?
And
I watched that game the other night where they came back and on the Jazz. That was wild. That was some like the Clippers are totally in the Jazz heads, and Paul George was amazing in that game.
Does Paul George come back if Kawhi's not coming back?
Yeah. I don't think Kawhi's coming back.
Okay.
We haven't heard enough stuff about him like ramping up or anything.
When do you ever hear anything about Kawhi?
Well, at least if he'd be set as questionable or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Doubtful, probable. I don't know.
All right.
But so it changes stuff in the second round, but it doesn't change anything about the first round matchup if it's 3-6 or 4-5.
Yeah. I mean, best case scenario, they finish at 3 to play Utah as a 6 seed. And then it's Memphis and whoever. Let Golden State and Denver be the 4-5 whenever that plays Phoenix in the second round, probably. And
it also it changes a little bit to me because that means the Jazz were a little worse to end the season than a little better. Let's say they go on a little run at the end of the season. Now there's only like 5-6 games left. They go on a little run and they rise up to 5 and the Mavs are at 4. Then the Jazz have maybe figured a little something out. But if they're at 6 and they've just been losing.
At this point for Dallas, it's about health. Like that's just where
more than seeding.
Almost. But I want Utah, but even seeing some Denver stuff lately, they seem like they're almost on fumes a little bit. And Golden State, I still just don't want any part of that, especially if Steph's. But like you could kind of make the case of, man, is Denver really kind of at the end of this just without their guys and all of that? Utah struggling, Steph's not fully healthy. To where I could hear the argument for, we don't really care about seeding. We just want to be fully healthy. Because if the Mavs go into the playoffs fully healthy, it's going to be hard for me to not pick them in any series at all. I mean, us being biased, I don't know. But
biased? Maybe. Not us.
Maybe.
Never.
But no, if they're healthy, I'm fully confident. We can't take an injury between now and Easter weekend.
For sure. And what, there's 5 games left?
I don't know the total of it. I know it's under 10. I can't remember if it
under 10. Mavs have 5 games left. At Washington on Friday, at Milwaukee on Sunday, at Detroit on Wednesday. Home for the Blazers on a Friday, and then home for the Spurs on a Sunday.
The only 2 games of those that's gonna you don't know with Porzingis, and there's so many emotions, Porzingis, Dinwiddie, all of that. But it's the Bucks and Spurs because Bucks are still trying to get as high as they can in the standings. That game on Sunday is going to be massive for them. It might not be as massive for Dallas.
Depends on what the Warriors have done.
But that last game of the season will be fascinating because against the Spurs, and no, we don't know the start date.
Yeah, we don't know the start time. Sorry, our friend John reached out to me at the game and was like, "Hey, you know when the start time is?" I don't know. Sorry, man.
But like that last game of the season is fascinating to me because it could make or break San Antonio being in a play-in.
Mm-hmm.
It could determine a seeding thing for Dallas of who they play in the first round and like all of that. So if Dallas is like trying to lose because they want a certain seed and then they let San Antonio win and then San Antonio like gets in over the Lakers or something, that would just be hilarious. I'd be like, yes, Dallas lost and that made the Lakers miss the play-in or something. that would be so weird, but it'd be funny.
You'd much rather take out the Lakers than do something negative to the Spurs?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think everyone agrees with you.
No, I feel like there's some like, I do feel like there are some like really diehard fans that like hate the Spurs more than like any team. I don't like them, but I hate the Lakers. I dislike the Spurs.
There you go. The big takeaway, the Mavs clinch a playoff spot.
Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic.
There it is. We'll be back with another post-game pod. We'll be back talking about the first team All-NBA and why Luka should be a part of it tomorrow. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. It's me and Pat, the designer from Locked On Bulls today. We'll have all of it covered.
Peace out.
Wherever you get your podcast.
Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.
Boom, 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 boom.